So today the Lord asked me to come to Him with a desire. And I sat and didn't understand the context of this appointment. I ended up drowsing off, and in the dream I had an image of a lavish room with 2 wingback chairs facing out a large window pane with a boreal forest valley and snowy mountains, crackling fire, a very comfortable, rich place. And I'm in one wingback chair, God's in another wingback chair, and He's basically there giving me His time. He needs to know what I need. And it took quite a lot of practice to really lock into that image, because as soon as you might be able to start the image, but distractions, you think you got to do this, and then you hear a noise, and everything's distracting you, bringing out of it. But if you keep coming at it, you can lock in and hold that image. From in that image, you enter that space. It's like you're a dream time. Now, from that space, you understand, you can feel the material of the chair and the warmth of the fire. And you get to see the glass. And it's a place of perfect abundance. You're not worried about your circumstances. You're not expecting promises. There's no self needed, because you have achieved a wonderful, comfortable place. So then I realized I don't need anything in that moment. What I would desire is, how can I bring other people to this place? How can I serve others? What message do you have on their behalf? In Hebrews 8, it reveals a superior covenant, and verse 7, I'm not going to read it, but it talks about the fall of the first covenant with the house of Israel and Judah. And then in verse 10, it reveals the intention for a superior covenant to supersede it. Hebrews 9, it goes into detail of how the old covenant functioned. It was a tradition of the ministers to have a tabernacle where they would bring sacrifices, and then they would enter the Holy of Holies. Well, the new covenant by Christ, I'll read it, verse 11. But Christ has appeared as a high priest of the good things that have come, in the greater and more perfect tabernacle not made with hands. He entered the most holy place once for all time, not by the blood of goats and calves, but by His own blood, having obtained eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and ashes of young cows sprinkled with those who are defiled sanctify for the purification of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered Himself without blemish to God, cleanse our consciences from dead works so that we can serve the living God? And dead works is, our ambitions, what we think we want to be doing, how we hold that into our minds. And He sacrifices His own blood, meaning He surrenders His life to service, and trusts that God will give Him His heart's desires. But these aren't things, these aren't His wishes. A fulfillment, it's an emotional fulfillment through service. And in verse 24 it says, for Christ did not enter a sanctuary made with the hands, constructed in the world, but into heaven itself, so that He might now appear in the presence of God for us. He did not do this to offer Himself many times, as the high priest enters the sanctuary yearly with the blood of another. Otherwise, He would have had to suffer many times since the foundation of the world. But now He has appeared one time at the end of the ages for the removal of sin by the sacrifice of Himself. And just as it is appointed for people to die once, and after this judgment, so also Christ, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to bear sin, but to bring salvation to those who are waiting for Him. So those of us that want to be a part of the new ministry, true ministers, we need to lay down our worldly constructs, or be willing to, or allow them to be used by God when we meet Him in that place. Because in that place, we are in heaven, and heaven is perfect abundance. So there's no impurity distorting our image of what good works are, because we've submitted ourselves to receive salvation, life, by truly and fully serving God.